Alright, so it's time for another drum set tour. Back 2 years ago, I did one. I'm using this camera backwards, so this is kind of awkward. But I made a drum set tour about 2 years ago, and if you follow my channel, then you know that I always switch out my snare, my cymbals, my kit, all this stuff. But there are a few things I've been using recently that a lot of people have asked about. And on top of that, there are a few things that I have changed that I haven't really talked about or shown, so I figured we'd take a look at that stuff. So I'll do my best to link everything I talk about in this video in the description. So first up, the drum set. I did a video recently where I thought I figured out what this kit was, but after seeing some comments and people sharing some photos, I'm back on the fence as to what this kit actually is. It's some random stencil kit, and that's all I know for sure about it. But if you want to see more about how I got this kit and what I've done to it, that video will be linked at the end of this one. But regardless as to what this kit is, my preferred sizes of drums are a 12x8 rack tom, 16x16 floor tom, and then a 22x14 kick, but this one is a 20-inch. For heads on the toms, I stick with Remo Emperors on the batter side. Typically, I'll use coated heads, but I will use clears here and there. And then on the resonant side, I have Remo Ambassador clears. On the batter side of the kick drum, I have a Remo Pinstripe, and this past year, I've been messing around with different kick batter heads, and I think I like the Powerstroke 3 over anything else, but I do like the Pinstripe as well as the Powerstroke Pro for certain applications. And then on the Reso side, I have an Ambassador coated, and I did a video on painting this head as well as another one, so I'll link to that if you want to see. But typically, I'll use either the Ambassador coated or the Ambassador ebony. It just depends on what color I want, to be honest. And then inside of the bass drum, I have some drum cubes which were sent to me recently. These are just cubes of foam made for muffling a bass drum, and so far I'm into them. It's really easy to dial in the amount of muffling you want, which is kind of hard to do with a blanket or a pillow, so I'm still messing around with them, but so far so good. And since we're at the bass drum, I've been getting some comments about this thing and what it is and what it does and why it's on my bass drum. But this essentially eliminates any sort of bass drum creep. If your kit has these extendo style spurs, then you know they do absolutely nothing at all. I bent mine, which kind of helped, but this thing clamps onto the hoop, and then the spikes stop it from scooting away. And also you can flip it if you need rubber feet, but this is a must if your bass drum keeps creeping away. On to the snare. Right now I'm using a Rogers Power Tone. This is a 14x5 chrome over brass snare. This is basically a poor man's Dynasonic. It has 8 lugs compared to 10, and it doesn't have the snare frame that the Dynasonic does, but still this is a killer drum. Right now there's an Ambassador coated on the batter side, but usually I'll use a controlled sound coated. And then on the snare side, I use an Ambassador snare side. This is what I use on every other snare, and I recommend you do too. And typically, I don't use the mega big 30-strain snare wires, but these came on the drum, and honestly, I can't complain, so that's why they're still on the drum. And also, in some recent videos, I've had these bells on the snare just to add some extra character. Cymbals. I've been using these 3 cymbals a lot, but of course I'll talk about some other ones that I've been into. For my ride cymbal, I'm using a 20-inch Meinl Byzant sand ride. I had zero intentions of buying the cymbal, but I walked into the store one day and they had forgotten about this in their warehouse or something, so it was marked down more than half off, so I went ahead and bought it, and honestly I didn't even play it before buying it because the price was that good. This crash is a 19-inch Saluda prototype. Saluda and I did some videos and giveaways together a while ago, and part of my payment, I guess you could say, was they would make me a crash, and they made this, and honestly, I love it. It has the trashiness, but also the brilliance of a normal crash. And then these hi-hats are a set of 15-inch Zildjian New Beats, I think. All the logos are faded off, and you can see the hollow Zildjian logo as well as the stamp. But considering the weight, I'm pretty sure that they are New Beats. And it's a long, boring story on how I got these, but I did buy them off the same guy that gave me that blue Vista Light bass drum shell. And then some other cymbals you've seen me use are these 15-inch Meinl Byzance dual hats, which I bought off of a friend. And honestly, I love these things. They feel great. They're not pingy at all, and you can really lay into them without them being overpowering. Now let's talk mics and cables. I am a Hosa artist, so all the cables on my kit are the Edge Series XLRs, and then I do have two that are the Pro Series. Now for the mics, this is probably the biggest change in my setup since the last drum set tour. So on the snare, I have an Earthworks SR20LS on top, and then a DM20 on the bottom. Another SR20 would probably be a better option because this does look a little bit goofy. I have a DM20 on the rack tom and floor tom, an Audix D6 in the kick, a pair of SR25s as overheads, and then also a set of Lewitt LCT 440 Pures as room mics. Another question I get often is how I have this stuff mounted to the ceiling. So I'm just using a desk mount mic flange, then a Shure A26X, which is just a mic stand extension, and then of course the mic mounts onto that. But for the overheads, I do have a boom attached to the extension, so again, all this stuff will be linked in the description. For my hardware, not much has changed. I'm still using the Iron Cobra 900 bass drum pedal with the Vic Frith felt beater. This is the VKB1, and occasionally I'll use the VKB3, which is the poofy fleece beater. And also sometimes I'll use the Low Boy lightweight beater if I want a little bit more attack. This hi-hat stand is new. It's also a 900 series Iron Cobra, but I have two other older Iron Cobras, but you really don't realize how much the spring wears out until you play on a new one, so I'm glad I got this. This stand is also new. This is the newer style Tama Road Pro boom stand, and I have a couple of these actually, and this one over here is actually an older one. But like I said, I switch out my kits all the time, so I just kind of grab whatever is easier. But you can't go wrong with the Road Pro hardware. This stuff is rock solid, and I love it. And my snare stand is also an older Tama Road Pro. I've had this for like 11 years now, I think, and it's still going strong. And this kit has a hex tom mount, so I'm using a Yamaha arm with some random multi-clamp. And last, the throne is a Rock and Sock Nitro. I used to use this one, but it was kind of annoying since the legs don't fold up, so I got this one instead. But this is a hydraulic throne and has plenty of cushion, so it works just fine for me. And now, I did switch sticks about a year ago. I'm currently playing the Vic Frith Freestyle 5Bs. Honestly, I thought the Freestyle series was like a joke and a gimmick, but once I picked up these sticks and started playing with them, they just felt so right to me, and I haven't looked back since. So essentially, the Freestyle series is just a longer stick, and the taper is a bit different. But again, these just feel so right to me, and if you're looking for new sticks, definitely try out the Freestyle series. And last, I cannot forget the rug. Since I moved in, I've had maybe 5 or 6 different drum rugs, and honestly, I thought I had settled on this one, but then this popped up on Facebook Marketplace and I had to get it. So I did buy this used. I don't know what kind of rug this is. There's no tag on it, so I don't know where you can get one. I know everyone keeps asking, so if any rug experts out there know what this is, feel free to chime in the comments. So yeah, there you go. That's the kit and everything I've been using. So hopefully that clears up some questions y'all had. And again, everything is linked down below. But already I tore that kit down and have another one set up. So if you have any questions or want to know more about something, then drop a comment and I'll do my best to answer. Also, if you want to see another tour type video, like a all my drum sets tour, or a desk tour, or a studio tour, or a workshop tour, or anything else, then let me know, and if there's enough interest, then I'll hook y'all up. But as always, if you like this type of video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.